Welcome to Quick Clips with Dr. Kilmer. Today we're talking about how parents can get excited about delay. Letting go of kids will be kids. I used in high school, they're going to use in high school. What's the big deal? Let's get excited about what's ahead. Let's figure out how we can embrace delay. Anything you can tell us, Dr. Kilmer, about letting go of leniency or passiveness as parents?
I love this concept of getting excited about delay. And I'll do what I can to sell the concept of why delay may not be such a bad thing. You said something important, which was we do hear people say, well, I used when I was younger and I turned out fine. Or they talk about their experiences. We're seeing a much more complex kind of landscape of substance use than we did, even a few years ago. When it comes to alcohol, the different range of products that can be very, very potent drinks all in one can. The person says, look, I have one drink, and it could actually contain much, much more than that. I don't want to say that alcohol was simpler, in quotes, years ago, but in some ways it was. And now the range of products that can either be appealing to kids or, unbeknownst to everyone involved, could be much more potent, becomes very, very noteworthy. Cannabis. When you hear people who are older today reflecting on their time in the 1970s, and they say that they, in quotes, smoked grass, it's because it was practically grass. 1% THC, 1.5% THC. In the 80s, it was 2 to 3% THC. THC, of course, being the psychoactive ingredient in cannabis that drives the high that people get. In the 90s, 4, 5, 6% THC. In the early 2000s, 7, 8, 9%. In states that have legalized smokable flower or bud, the norm is 20 to 30% THC. Hash oils, concentrates, wax, butter, shatter, what people use for dabbing, 60 to 90% THC. I hear people say all the time, it's natural, it's just weed. And what the science shows is it stopped being, in quotes, just weed a long time ago. The cannabis that's 20 to 30% THC in a smokable form, that doesn't occur in nature. That takes intentional breeding of created high-potency strains. Those concentrates not only don't occur in nature, that's not even the plant anymore. That's this sticky, gooey substance that has very little to do with the flower. So a lot has changed. And even parents that say, well, I'm not that old. It wasn't that long ago that I was in school. A lot has changed since they've been in school. And so the seriousness with which we take the products that are out there, the seriousness with which we consider the impact of what it means for someone to use that as a teenager, as a college student, really is something that's pretty pronounced at this point.
I appreciate that summary. And that, if we can drink that in as parents and let that inform us and help us get excited about delay. There's a lot of great, fun stuff to do other than getting drunk or high with our friends. And I don't know, I live in this fantasy world where kids don't use anything, until their brains are developed. And I
Well, and
don't
it's
know.
important to, again, look at the statistics. When it comes to cannabis, most kids aren't using, most young adults aren't using. And it's easy to, again, because of either what we hear or see, believe that it's much more prevalent than it is. I brought up a name in one of the other quick clips, Dr. Jeff Linkenbach. Dr. Linkenbach does work on positive community norms, where there's a gap between what people perceive and what the majority might be doing that actually represents healthy choices. Most people aren't using cannabis. And so when people say, well, everyone gets high, that's what they do. They get high and play video games. That's really, really, really not true. And
Yeah.
so the good news is when someone says, I'm going to choose to not use, that's the decision that most of their peers, in fact, have made when it comes to cannabis use. And so it's important for parents, caregivers, and guardians to know those statistics, especially if there is, they can fall for those misperceptions as well. It could be easy for a parent to say, well, I mean, what can I do? Everyone's using weed. They really,
Right.
really, really aren't.
It's great feedback. Thank you, Dr. Kilmer.
Thank you.